If you're tired of waking up 3 or 4 times a night, only to stand there frustrated because your body won't cooperate, this video is for you. Most doctors will tell you it's just your prostate getting bigger, and there's nothing you can do but take pills or wait for surgery. But that's not the whole story. Often, the real problem is that your muscles have forgotten how to relax today. I'll show you a simple 30-second habit that helps you empty your bladder fully and finally get the sleep you deserve. One of the most common myths I hear is that an enlarged prostate is a one-way street, that once your urinary comfort starts to fade, your best years are officially behind you. It sounds logical, right? The prostate grows, the flow slows down, and your world starts to shrink. But biology is rarely that simple. What most men feel on a day-to-day basis isn't determined solely by the size of the prostate on an ultrasound or a scan. In fact, I see it all the time in my clinic. 2 men can have nearly identical prostate measurements, but completely different lives. One functions reasonably well, while the other feels miserable, constantly scanning for the nearest bathroom. Why is that? Because symptoms are about mechanics and signaling, not just anatomy. We often get stuck on the word enlarged, but we forget about function more. Think of it this way. Your prostate is the hardware, but your nervous system and your muscles are the software. You can have a slightly larger piece of hardware, but if the software is running smoothly, the system works. This is where many men lose hope, because they've been told that their hardware is the only problem, but that's only half the truth. There is a massive difference between how big an organ is and how that organ actually behaves under pressure. And let's be honest about what's really at stake here. For many of us, this isn't just about a weak stream or waking up at night. It's about our dignity. It's about that quiet background anxiety that starts to eat away at your confidence during long drives, business meetings, or social events. We start to feel like we're losing our edge, like we can't trust our own bodies anymore. I want you to understand that while you can't shrink tissue overnight, you can retrain the mechanics of how you go. You can change the signals your brain sends to your pelvic floor. When you stop looking at this as a broken part that needs to be fixed and start seeing it as a system that needs to be recalibrated, everything changes. You aren't just a victim of your anatomy, your system is trainable. And today, we're going to focus on the software, the parts of the process that you actually have the power to control. Here is the part most people miss, and it's the reason so many of us feel stuck in a cycle that never seems to end. That stress you feel, it literally feeds the problem. When your nervous system is on edge, your body goes into a protective mode. Your pelvic floor, the very muscles that need to open to let urine pass, tends to tighten up. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your abdomen braces. Without even realizing it, you start trying to urinate with effort instead of release. This is the straining trap. We've been conditioned to think that if something is blocked, we need to push harder to clear it. But in the world of pelvic health, pushing is the enemy of flow. When you push, you're actually signaling your muscles to grip even tighter. It's like trying to walk through a door while you're simultaneously pulling it shut. Believe it or not, this tension doesn't just stay in your lower body. There is a direct, wired connection between your jaw, your shoulders, and your pelvis. If you're clenching your teeth or hiking your shoulders up to your ears while you're standing over the toilet, you are unknowingly sending a message to your bladder to stay closed. And then there is the mental side of this loop. Have you ever noticed that the closer you get to your front door, or the moment you see a restroom sign, the urge suddenly becomes 10 times stronger? That isn't because your bladder magically filled up in 2 seconds. It's what I call a psychological reflex. Your brain has built a high-speed railway between that location and the feeling of panic. To break this loop, you need a neural reset. Think of it as a way to freeze that rising tide of panic before it takes over. Next time that sudden, overwhelming urge hits you, especially when you're just steps away from the bathroom, I want you to try something that feels a bit strange but works incredibly well. Stop moving. Just for a second. Instead of rushing, stand still and gently press your finger against your temple or give your earlobe a firm little squeeze. This small physical sensation acts like a circuit breaker. It distracts your nervous system and interrupts that panic signal traveling from your bladder to your brain. While you do this, tell yourself one simple thing: I am in control, not my bladder. By shifting your focus from the urge to a different physical touch, you're teaching your system to calm down. Once that initial wave of urgency dips, then you move slowly and calmly. Remember, you aren't fighting a war against your body. You are retraining a conversation that has become a bit too loud and frantic. You can have a moderately enlarged prostate, but if you learn to stop the clenched fist reflex in your pelvic floor, the symptoms often feel much lighter than any scan would suggest. This is about switching from forcing to allowing, and it starts the moment you decide to stop rushing the process. So how do we move from forcing to allowing? How do we retrain a system that's been clenching for years? I want to share a simple, subtle habit with you. It's not a miracle cure, and it won't change the physical size of your prostate by tomorrow morning, but it can change the tension in your muscles and the signals in your bladder almost immediately. I call this the long exhale release with double empty. It's a 30-second routine that addresses the mechanics most men never even think about. It has two simple phases: downshifting your nervous system to relax the outlet, and then giving your bladder a second, strain-free chance to empty fully. The next time you walk into the bathroom, before you even begin, I want you to try the 4-6-8 technique. It starts with your breath. Take a slow, gentle inhale through your nose for about 4 seconds. You aren't trying to fill your lungs to the burst point, just enough to feel your lower ribs expand. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth for about 6 to 8 seconds. Imagine you're softly fogging a mirror or blowing out a candle very slowly. As you exhale, I want you to focus on 3 points of tension. Soften your jaw. Let your shoulders drop. And most importantly, let your belly go soft. Here is the key image. Imagine the base of your pelvis is like an elevator gently descending one floor. You aren't pushing, you aren't bearing down. You are simply giving your body permission to open. When you start to urinate, keep that exhale going. Keep your face loose. If you feel yourself starting to tense up or rush, just come back to that slow exhale. No forcing, no rushing. Just let the stream start when it's ready. Now, once the stream stops, don't rush away. This is where most men make a mistake. They zip up and leave, carrying half a cup of residual urine with them. That leftover urine is exactly what causes you to feel like you need to go again, just 10 minutes later. Stay where you are. Count slowly to 10. Take one more long, 8-second exhale. Repeat that downward release at the base of your pelvis, and just wait. Often, a second stream will appear. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's surprisingly significant. This is the double empty. By taking that extra 30 seconds, you are clearing out the residual that drives urgency. You're telling your bladder, we're finished for real this time. This simple shift from forcing the urine out to releasing the doorway open creates a calmer, more cooperative system. It reduces the mechanical stress on the tissues around your prostate, and over time, helps quiet those frantic signals that keep you running to the bathroom all day and all night. Now, I want to address something that many men find uncomfortable to talk about, but it is an absolute game changer for your physical comfort. It's the question of how you actually position yourself. For most of our lives, we've been told that standing up is the only way to be a man in the bathroom. But when you're dealing with prostate symptoms, standing can actually be your biggest mechanical disadvantage. When you stand, your legs, your hips, and your core have to work to keep you upright. That means your pelvic floor muscles, the very ones we need to relax, are partially on just to keep you balanced. You're essentially trying to open a valve while the surrounding pipes are being squeezed. This is why I often recommend a shift in perspective. Sitting down is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of intelligence. It's about choosing mechanics over ego. Many people ask me, why have I tried everything and I still feel like I'm not empty? The answer is often found in the angle of your pelvis. I want to share a specific adjustment with you called the lean forward technique. When you sit, keep your feet flat on the floor. If you can, use a small step stool to bring your knees slightly higher than your hips. This mimics a baby squat position. Now, instead of sitting bolt upright, lean forward and rest your elbows on your knees. Why does this matter? Because in this position, the angle between your bladder and your outlet opens up naturally. You're essentially straightening the garden hose. In this golden angle, you aren't fighting gravity or muscle tension. While you're leaning forward, try a very gentle circular massage on your lower abdomen, moving clockwise. This isn't about pushing hard. It's about a soft, physical cue to help your bladder wring out those last few drops. When you combine this posture with the long exhale we discussed earlier, you're using pure physics instead of raw effort. You're giving your body the best possible chance to reach that state of total empty. It's a quiet, simple shift, but for the man who has spent years straining against his own anatomy, it feels like a revelation. It's about reclaiming your comfort by working with your body's design, not against it. I want to be very clear about what to expect as you start this journey. Real bodies don't change overnight, but they do change. Think of these habits like basic hygiene for your nervous system, something as essential as brushing your teeth. In the first week, you'll likely notice a smoother initiation. That familiar hesitation at the start of the stream begins to fade because your brain is learning the language of release. By weeks 2 to 4, the repeat trips should decrease. You're emptying more effectively, so your bladder isn't sending a panic signal 10 minutes after you've left the bathroom. After a month, many men report the most valuable change of all: fewer nighttime wake-ups and a deeper, more restorative sleep. To support this transformation, consider a few simple lifestyle shifts. Try taking a 10-minute walk after your largest meal to aid circulation. Shift your caffeine and acidic drinks earlier in the day to give your bladder a rest in the evening. Most importantly, stay consistent with your breathing resets, even when you aren't in the bathroom. This is about training your baseline to be calm rather than clenched. And to my friends who have spent years, maybe decades, battling these fragmented nights, I know how exhausting it is. I know what it's like to stand there in the dark, feeling like your own body has become an unreliable stranger. You might feel like you've lost a piece of your dignity or your band line along the way. But please hear me. Your value as a man isn't measured by the strength of a stream or how many times you have to wake up at night. The fact that you are here, leaning in, learning to listen to your body with patience, that is the definition of true strength. Aging is a natural process, but feeling helpless is not. Every time you take that long, slow exhale, every time you choose to relax instead of force, you are reclaimed a piece of your life. Don't be too hard on yourself if tomorrow isn't perfect. You've lived with this for a long time. Give your system a few weeks to learn this new language of relaxation. You aren't alone in that quiet hallway anymore. We are finding our way back to comfort, one breath at a time. Before we part ways, I want to remind you that while these habits are powerful, they don't replace professional care. If you notice blood in your urine, severe pain, or a sudden inability to go, please seek medical help immediately. Your safety is always the priority. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of this cycle is the toughest for you? Is it the fragmented sleep from nighttime trips, the frustration of a weak stream, or that constant background anxiety about the nearest bathroom? Let me know in the comments. Your stories help me tailor the next video to exactly what you need. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. My goal is to keep giving you tools that support your comfort, your confidence, and your vitality. Thank you for spending this time with me. Stay patient with yourself, keep breathing, and I'll see you in the next dawn.